Hey, welcome to Baco Motorsports Power Hour. First show in 3 weeks because I was off for a little rehab, little Frankenstein look with scars all over my arm. But anyway, back in the saddle now and got lots to talk about because motorsports continued even though I was gone. And I've got Larry Collins from Kern County Raceway Park in here for this first segment. How you doing, Larry?
Good to be here, Mike. Glad to see you're doing better.
And Larry's doing better. He had a cast on his right foot for about 6 weeks due to a motorcycle incident.
Yeah, just got it off last week, and doesn't feel much better than it did the day that I broke it. But got two plates and a few screws in there holding it all together, so I'll be all right.
As we
Someday I'll be all right.
As we know, it takes time for the body
Exactly.
to heal and
Yep.
longer when you're older.
Right,
So,
right.
so there we go. But lots of racing going on nationally, locally, internationally. It's just fall and it's racing season.
Sure, yeah, right.
Had the NASCAR Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series.
First
Finally got around to its first playoff
Right.
race in Chicago. And boy, there's some storylines for that. We'll get that to in just a minute because I have to go through some stuff on here. We've got the change the slide up. Got a double A field dragster on there now to lead the show with, and then Fast Trip All Area Team will be our fourth annual All Area Motorsports team. Thanks to Fast Trip, who's sponsored that the last few years. Last year we had about 50 riders, whatever, in it.
Right.
And looking for maybe a few less this year, it looks like right now. But I have to catch up after 3 weeks. There's some more people who have qualified for the all-area team. A couple wins in a drag race will get you there. And 3 wins on an oval track will get you there. Championships get you there. So
Sure.
various criteria. So we're going to do that sometime in December. Not sure of the date yet, but a little 4-page thing with a couple pages of mugs and a little bio on each of the drivers, and then a recap of the season at all the tracks. So
Dynamite.
try to do that. So while that's in the works, we had the first chase race at Chicago, and boy, you talk about some storylines out of that first race in Chicago. You get started with Kyle Busch leading the way. Probably no one's surprised. Martin Truex Jr., dominant on mile and a half this year. He comes away with the win. Does a great burn out there. Burns the tires off. Some people are talking about they burn these tires down and get them to explode to destroy stuff underneath and areas where NASCAR likes to take them back and tech later in their own shop.
Right.
Because if you're off just by thousandths of an inch now,
right.
you get penalized. So if you tear some crap up,
Yeah.
they can't check.
They're trying to find gains in just the smallest areas now.
You may find it eventually where if you blow the tires up doing a burnout, that may be encumbered or something.
Sure.
You don't know what's going to happen, but Truex there it was a Turtles 400. So guess what happened? He got slimed. So I think that's one of the best victory lane photos of the season right there. Martin Truex getting slimed, but lots of stuff going on in this race. Before the race, after the race, Kevin Harvick had a solid third place finish. That's points racing. It's going to get you. He didn't have a car that could win. He had a car that was close. Best of class outside of the Toyotas. And there's your points where they stand right now. But basically, you have to look down the line. You're looking at 12th place is Austin Dillon with 2,026 points. Kurt Busch, 226. Ricky Steinhaus Jr., 2022, and Casey Kane, 2021. So those are the guys who are going to be fighting to be in the top 12 after the first 3 races of this.
Yeah.
This series, I guess.
Right.
They're
And not
divided.
surprising who's in the top 5. I mean, if you were had to pick 5 drivers at the halfway point of the season, those guys would have been on your list. And Martin Truex, I mean, he's just making everyone. I mean, it's almost like Jimmy Johnson of 3 to 5 years ago, where just couldn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, you've got that, and brings you to Martin Truex in a Toyota, Kyle Busch in Toyota, which brings us to Saturday practice and qualifying before the race, where the Toyotas were 1, 2, 3, 4 in practice, and Brad Keselowski tweeted out that they had a big advantage, blah blah blah.
Right.
Which some of the newbies, even people covering NASCAR, the reporters who have been doing it for 10, 15 years, don't remember beyond that. When there were all kinds of manufacturer wars, and wasn't the common template
Right.
now, and people were battling. Some cars had a little more spoiler than other manufacturers, or some had less
Right.
spoiler, and this and that, and constant politics and fighting and to get a quarter-inch more of spoiler or this
Right.
or that.
Which makes a big difference.
Which makes a big
nowadays,
difference.
right.
And so that if you look at it, and the Toyotas have been so dominant, do they have some sort of advantage? Maybe, maybe not. Is it? Who knows? But obviously, they're ahead of the game right now in some area. But so of course Brad tweets it out, and of course Kyle Busch responds
Right.
not too kindly.
Right.
Starts a Twitter war before qualifying. So what does Busch do when they go out and qualify? He takes number one by 0.3 of a second.
Amazing. Don't make Kyle mad.
Don't make Kyle bad. And then, as they would have it, when they were going around the parade lap, the two drivers in every truck, they go around and wave at the crowd. Guess who's together on the same truck, not looking at one another?
Perfect.
Perfect.
Right.
You could just see the dislike
Sure.
between those two on the same truck going around the track.
Well, it wasn't too long ago that the Toyotas were kind of struggling to find speed.
Right.
Joe Gibbs' whole operation, they were scratching their heads. So, during that period, they were behind closed doors with NASCAR saying, hey, we need a little here, we need a little there. And I get it, but you're exactly right. It's hard to find that perfect parity.
Yeah.
So you get, if a manufacturer might be struggling for a while, be it downforce or power, whatever it might be, they get with NASCAR. NASCAR says, hey, we'll give you a little bit here to see if it'll even things up. And sometimes they can give just, like I said, in this day and age, a quarter somewhere is a lot. So they might give someone a quarter, and all of a sudden gives them the advantage a little bit over the other
Right.
manufacturer. So yeah, it's an ongoing evolution that NASCAR has to do, equalizing the manufacturers.
Just an interesting deal there. And so what's Busch go out? He leads 85 of the first 87 laps. And this is more of this, all in this first race. So he goes into pits, but he's got two loose lug nuts.
Right.
So he has to come back in. His gas man, who didn't even need to be there because they weren't going to gas, jumps over the wall too early before the pit reached the certain spot. So
Right.
his feet were on the ground before they could be. So they make the stop, and then he's got to go through to a pass through. So he's 2 laps down. Basically lost his chance to win there.
Right.
And the ironic thing is, Joe Gibbs Racing switched pit crews before this race. Busch's pit crew went to Daniel Suarez's car, and Suarez's car pit crew became Busch's playoff pit crew
Interesting.
because of regular season statistics saying that the Suarez crew was
It's a little
better,
better, right.
and they sure
Wow.
stepped on it
Wow.
in the first race.
Wow. Could you imagine what was going on in Kyle Busch's helmet at that point?
He didn't say anything over the radio.
Right.
He was very calm over the radio, to his credit.
Right.
But so you had all these little storylines out of that first race, which is just amazing. You had the Twitter war, the Truex winning, Kyle Busch leading, the bad pit crew stops after changing the pit crew, and the second place finisher Chase Elliott, race is encumbered,
Right.
meaning in NASCAR parlance, he cheated,
Right.
and they got caught.
Yeah.
But they didn't get caught till long after the race, because the cheating, the bending of the rules, the gray area of the rules, is apparently during the race, somebody on the team added tape to the spoiler. And you can find pictures, and there was a video out there on social media of this tape on the spoiler
Wow.
and sticking up in the middle of the spoiler, like masking tape or something.
Wow.
Or duct tape.
Yeah,
Or who knows
sure,
what it was,
sure.
but they put tape on it, which increased the height of the spoiler there in the middle of the car. And teams are saying it could have increased downforce 30 to 70 pounds, just that
Wow.
little bit
Amazing.
of tape.
Right.
And so it showed up on social media, but apparently the garage was well aware of it and complaining to NASCAR, because all the teams are photographing the other teams
And what's going on during the race? Right.
cameras and still shots of what the cars are doing, what
Right.
they look like, and pit stops. So everybody's spying on everybody.
Right. Right.
It's like that old comics book, Spy versus Spy. You have to be old to know that one.
Right.
But it's Spy versus Spy in NASCAR.
Interesting.
And so 15-point deduction, encumbered second place finish, crew chief and car chief gone for a week, and what NASCAR considers a level 1
Right.
fine and a $25,000 fine. So don't put tape on the spoiler. Now it's not in the rule book, but it's not a gray area, guys.
Right.
Not anymore.
Right. Interesting.
So
Wow.
so interesting how you'll try to do anything to gain a little bit of advantage.
Just amazing. Again, just that little change to the car supposedly made the car that much better. Right.
And he was good, but did it really help that much?
Hard to say.
Hard to say, but guess what? It cost you.
Right.
And he's 8th in points, so he's probably okay unless he has a bad race. He's
Right.
got enough points ahead of that 12th place
Yeah.
area. So, but if he has a mulligan at New Hampshire this weekend,
Right.
he's in trouble. Those
Sure.
15 points are huge. So,
Right.
anyway, they head to New Hampshire. So there's an Xfinity race at Chicago too. Get that real quickly. That was their last regular season race of the year. So Ryan Reed finished 17th in that. He hasn't been running well lately. He has not run well at all lately down the season. So they've got to turn that around. And these are the playoff points to start. That's which they start their playoffs Saturday at Kentucky. And Ryan Reed is 6th with 5 points from his win at Daytona. And as you're seeing playing out in the Cup race, Harvick, who never paid much attention to stage races before, was up there,
Sure.
finished 2nd and 3rd or 2nd in both the stage races because those
It
points
all matters now.
those
Yes.
are all points
Right.
that accumulate. Where you had a big points lead during the regular season, it really didn't matter. They're going to reset stuff.
Correct.
But they really matter now. Stage win will give you a bonus point, but just the 10, 9, 8, 7, 6 points for those top 10 finishers
Right.
make a difference in the playoffs. And you'll see that now these guys have to run hard. The Xfinity Series, they're not going to have a lot of Cup guys are down there cherry picking on them.
Right.
So we're going to see who comes through in this. So it's going to be interesting for the Xfinity Series, and they have a standalone race at Kentucky, so good for them.
Yeah.
So that's all set. NHRA, it's Eddie Krawick there, all Harley final in their first chase race, and he went on to win. It's just a good-looking motorcycle. I think Larry Collins would like to try take one of those down the strip and see how fast he could go.
I usually like to drive with at least 2 wheels. Those things, they just drive with the rear wheel. It's amazing, right?
Yeah, well, they come down. The nitro bikes don't have the wheels
Right,
come down
right.
at all. The pro stock bikes, the wheels
Sure.
come down a little bit. But
Right.
he got the win, and now he leads the points. And then let's see what's the next slide. Tanner Gray, 18-year-old third-generation driver, just lighting it up in pro stock, came away with the win. Robert Height was hot as the season went on. Was nowhere to be seen the first half of the season. Came on late in the season, continued in the first race. You can see the blowers askance there. I think that was from his semifinal run, maybe, where it went kaboom. He came back. It was an all-John Force final. He beat Courtney Force in the final, so he leads the points there. And Doug Coletta from Connie Coletta Racing beat Richie Crampton, and now good win for Doug. First ever win at Charlotte for him, and that series goes on to Maple Grove this weekend, getting right into it. And real quick, F1, Singapore Grand Prix, Ferraris were really strong, ran well. The Mercedes weren't doing anything. It was rainy and wet in the first lap of the race, big old pileup, both Ferraris out. Lewis Hamilton goes in the lead, goes on and wins, and now he leads Sebastian Vettel by 28 points. And there's probably a death blow for
Right.
Ferrari's title hopes
Right.
in that race.
It's too
So,
bad.
there you go. But that could happen in reverse at the next race.
True
so
enough.
We'll see.
Right.
So we're going to be back in a little bit with the Kern County Raceway Park segment. Talk to Larry Collins a bit more on the Baco Motorsports Power Hour.